It is commonly believed that God created man in his own image. All the religions, philosophies, and sciences of the world are unanimous on this point. It does not mean that the physical form of God is the same that of man, with the human body made up of flesh, bones, and skin, etc., possessing arms, legs, and other limbs. That's what we have made it to be. It really means that the man possesses or is composed of all the powers, forms, and energies, forces, and energy which are present in nature in the same order. So, power, forces, and energy. These are the three things that human beings possess in the same order as in nature. The poet has said, your appearance is the same as that of the beloved. Its form, color, and everything else is exactly the same. Now, I will tell you the position of these things in the human body. Now, he is comparing the macrocosm and the microcosm. The center, as explained by me, has its position on the backside of the human skull, called the occipital prominence, as shown in diagram 5. Where is the diagram 5? Diagram 5, 183 page number. Start of central region on the backside of the head. Start of the central region. Six, start of the central region. Same chapter, first page. Now it has the connection with the only real thing. It is the essence of life and has got all the powers essential for the upkeep of the body. It's a pulpy substance, less than even a hair's breadth, and the color is like grey, like that of the dawn, or only it's a faint reflection, as already explained above. The cells or the egg-like things described above near the center are actually found to be present near this point also in the material form. They have their connection with the master cell near the center. The same thing, whatever he is described, is there here also at the back. I'm afraid I have not been able to express this idea fully well, as it can only be felt or realized and cannot be expressed in words. I've said enough to express it as far as possible. This is all my research through Anubhava reading of nature, which is due to my making of my by my master, who by his grace has favored me with this vision. Now, as we have practically finished the main subject, we take up another point in the human body which is below the central region. It is the crude form of the center, the reactionary thing, as I call it the destructive eye. Havoc can be brought and the world can be brought to decay or utter destruction by its effect if thrown forth. I am not going to disclose its actual position, it has no connection with the main theme, nor am I allowed to disclose it. I have discussed completely, though in brief, every possible thing in this connection. I would now dwell a little more on this point too to complete the chain. The destructive eye. The destructive eye was kept open by Lord Krishna for 18 days on the battlefield during the Mahabharata to the extent of destruction required at that time. It would be opened once again. Lord Krishna had come for the change. He saw the atmosphere growing poisonous due to the existing elements at the time. He ultimately contemplated the scheme of Mahabharata. He began to destroy those elements by his will force 24 years before the actual incident took place. When the time of Mahabharata came and the warriors were on the battlefield, he opened his destructive eye at the spot. The signs are now again visible on the horizon, of course, not so coarse as they were then. Darkness is pervading, poisonous elements have entered the cosmos, and the world is demanding change for which duty has been assigned to somebody by nature herself. I've shown the efficacy of Raja Yoga. It is the only thing which can weave one's destiny. It is complete in itself. Practice and Anubhava only can reveal it. I do not ask you to believe me blindly, but I would most solemnly request you to practice it in the right earnest and see that things are coming to your knowledge. There are other methods too to practice Raja Yoga, but I assure you this method as given in this book is the most benefiting. My sincere advice to the readers is to seek the adept in this science. It is very difficult to find such a person, but they are there, no doubt, in this world. People who are adept in this kind of Raja Yoga. I tell you an easy method of finding them out. If you sit beside such a person, never mind him to be a sannyasi or grihastha, calmness or the nature of the self will remain predominant and you will be carefree for the time being. You will remain in touch with the real thing so long as you are with him. The effect is automatic, even if he does not exert himself. So, if you really want to search for such a person, what you have to do is only to look at your own heart and note the condition of your mind. It becomes comparatively calm and quiet, and the different ideas that have been haunting your mind and is troubling you all the time are away so long as you are with him. So, this is something that they'll ask in the exam. How do you identify the Guru? So, this is the thing. In the central region, last chapter is given. But one thing is to be clearly borne in mind that mind should not in any way be taxed and there should be no heaviness because this effect, keeping of the ideas and bringing the working of the mind to a standstill, can be brought forth also by those who have mastered the baser sciences, like mesmerism and hypnotism. But the difference between the two is that in the later case, heaviness, exhaustion, and dullness of the mind and physique will be felt, while in the former case, the person will feel lightness at the same time, calmness shall be prevailing all over. It is just possible that you may not be able to judge it at first glance, but constant company with the person will surely offer you clear hints and indications in this respect. Nowadays, researchers in the science are generally neglected. There are still many things to be known and solved, but you can pick up the pearls only when you dive deep into the ocean. The period of 2.5 years is reckoned from the date of writing of the book, about 6 years from the date of its first publication, 1950. Thus, it comes to about end of 1944, since when he is at work for the change of the world. ಸರಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆಯಾ? Then it was fairly straightforward. Some of the things is a bit of repetition from other books also. So let's continue then. Conclusion. I have discussed sufficiently as far as my anubhava, the reading of the nature, allowed me. I may now add a few lines for the seeker to reveal to them the secret of success. Meditation is the foundation of spirituality. If you meditate having your real goal before you, you are sure to arrive at the destination. There are ways and ways of converging towards the real goal, and they're all discussed in various scriptures sufficiently. There are external forces who helping us to the destination if properly guided. The Eastern philosophers have taken special regard to the question of food. It should be cooked neatly and cleanly in a proper manner. This is the hygienic point. But if it is sattvic food and is cooked in constant remembrance of God, its effect will be surprising. And if it is taken meditating all the while on God, it will cure all kinds of physical, spiritual diseases and remove things which hinder your progress. I have not to say much about it as it has already been dealt with sufficiently in our books. But neglecting altogether the really essential hygienic and spiritual basis of food, we must not be whimsical thinking that it is defiled if merely touched by other person of a particular sect, even though he may be more innocent, pious, and spiritually elevated. Hindus have experienced sufficiently and ought not to realize that the present day policy of food is neither social nor spiritual. In support of my views, I quote below the words of Swami Vivekananda, who is an authority on spiritual subjects. The extravagant, meaningless fanaticism which has driven religion entirely took its own, as may be noticed in many of our sects, without any hope of noble truth of that religion ever coming out to the sunlight of spirituality, is a peculiar sort of pure and simple materialism. It is neither gnana, nor karma, nor bhakti. It is a special kind of lunacy, and those who pin their souls to it are more likely to go to the lunatic asylum than to Brahmaloka. Another external thing necessary for the beginner is that he should practice restraint in thought, word, and deed so as not to injure the feelings of and prick the heart of others. If he does not restrain himself, he spoils his own heart. The reactions affect him unnoticed. The next thing for him to cultivate is that he should always look to the brighter side of the picture and should not, at any rate, submit himself to the feelings that he cannot attain the goal. Iron will is essential for the purpose, and he should not be led to the feeling of despondency, which is a great obstacle on the path. The cause of despondency in the spiritual field seems to be that people generally think it is most difficult and intricate thing. What we have to gain is really a very simple thing within our easy reach. The difficult methods so far applied for attaining this simple thing have made it more complicated and intricate. An example will make the proposition clear. Suppose a needle falls on the ground and you want to pick it up. It may be very easy to do so with the help of your fingers. If, however, a crane or machine is used to, or some other complicated machinery is used for picking up the needle, it will be difficult to do so, and it's quite possible that you may fail in your attempt. Exactly the same thing happens when you think of difficult and complicated methods for attaining reality, which is very simple. People are really trying to pick up a needle with the help of a crane in the spiritual field. It is merely a misconception if wiped off, which, if wiped off, will remove despondency altogether. Now, it gives a summary. The process we start with and which we lay upon is meditation on the heart upon the guidance of the force of the one's master who has attained perfection and has within him the capacity of transmission. Such a master keeps things away that bar our spiritual progress. Spiritual waves from the master continue to flow into our heart, making us calmer and calmer day by day. If we are deeply rooted in meditation, we connect our link with the innermost thing desired. Devotion, of course, increases the capacity and smoothens the way. If we make our heart the target of masterly force, we begin to expand inside, with the result that in the long run we find ourselves stretching throughout the godly empire. I think we have covered most of it. So basically, you meditate under the guidance of a guru who is attained perfection. What happens then? As you continue to meditate, spiritual waves from the master continues to flow into you, and then it will make you calmer by the day. Then, if we are deep rooted in our practice, then we connect our link to the deepest, innermost core. Devotion is, of course, necessary to increase the capacity and smoothen the way. If we make our heart the target of masterly force, we begin to expand inside, with the result that ultimately we feel that we have expanded throughout the godly empire. I am speaking about it, about those who have so fixed themselves in the heart of the central region. What such a man can do by his will force, others cannot do by the force of arms. The materialistic view may not accept it because the world is shorter before it before its advocates. People may think it's a dog barking subject as they have not developed this sort of vision. Such a personality, as described previously, is neither friend nor foe of anybody. He is all along balanced in his ways and never loses equilibrium. If perchance he does so even for a moment, atmospheric disorder and gloominess will be the result. If it continues for some period of time, the shadowy hearts of the people will collapse. Activities at this stage are all gone and actions becomes automatic. But if activities remain as they are, the solution of the life is not arrived at. So one of the signs that you have arrived at the goal is that everything that you do becomes automatic. Automatism at all our levels of existence. At physical level, material level, and spiritual level. During our march to freedom, we come across various chakras with different colors and forms. They are all in the region of the heart. Above it, the condition is different from what you have already experienced. Chakras are all gone. The structure falls off as soon as you proceed onwards. By meditation under the guidance of a capable master, the thing becomes easily accessible. Iron will and constant impatience and restlessness for gaining the subject object brings easy success. Lord Krishna had originally introduced Bhakti in the Raja Yoga in a way that the yoga is known. In a way, the yogis know, because he knew the time was at hand when life would be uncertain. There is a vast difference between theory and practice. If I tell you about the same subject all day and night, it will not be beneficial to you at all, except that your mental taste may develop, and that too momentarily. Come with faith and confidence in the spiritual field and be prepared for the practice. Throwing off all self conceited ideas. I do not want you to dwell in an imagination that if you repeatedly read the scriptures, you will become master of spirituality. By doing so, you may become a philosopher or a learned man, but you cannot be a yogi without actual practice with love and devotion. It is very difficult to put a practical thing in words, just as you cannot describe the taste of wheat, although you have eaten it many a time. May the day dawn upon when people will stand to realize the accuracy of what has been said above. ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಮುಗಿಯಿತು. ಆಯ್ತಾ? Have you covered all the books now? Or we still are pending with something? One book is pending. Which one?
It's infinite.
Towards Infinity we have not covered in this group. Okay. Any questions? Basically, last chapter he summarizes everything that he has said till now. That's all. That's all that is there. The crane example was given earlier on. The philosophy of the Western, that is given earlier on. Emphasis on the practice is given. So, and the importance of the chakras and what happens when we practice meditation, all those things are given. He basically summarized in a shorter version. This question also will come. Man is an epitome of God. Please explain. So that also will come. So we read today, no? The first part that we read. All the powers, forces, and energy in nature are present in man in the same order as in God. That's why man is said to have taken the same form as God. In other words, everything that is there in nature is nothing God only. We differentiate center and we differentiate nature. Nature is everything downwards from the Shobh. So then if somebody were to ask you who has taken the form of nature, it is God only. Right? As long as you differentiate God and nature, you have not got the right picture. God and nature are one and the same in the sense that God himself has taken the form of nature. And hence, whatever is there in God, whatever is there in nature, is there in man also. So God has the soul, the center, man also has the center. God has creation, man also has creation. God has creative potential, man also has creative potential in the form of mind. The equivalent is that in God it is scope, in man it is mind. So everything that is there after that, whatever comes, everything is there. It is in this context we say that Janasevaye Janardana Seve. Actually, it is not Janaseva. It is actually serving the nature. Since God is present in every human being, you say that Janasevaye Janardana Seve. Now, the expression of God in human beings is manifested in the most what do you say, expressive way in man. So that's why you say Jana Savior, Janardhan Savior. But actually, a saint not only serves man, but he also serves the entire nature, the entire creation. So when you become a true server of the entire creation of God, then you are said to be a saint. So a saint cannot throw the paper onto the street. The saint cannot unnecessarily cut a tree. The saint cannot unnecessarily pluck a flower. Can you see? To become a saint, every walk of life has to be refined. Okay? But a saint is not bound by the human rules. That's why, in a way, the saint is rebellious. Not rebellious in the way that we normally think. Rebellious in the way that they have their own way of doing things, which is in tune with nature, compared to other human beings who have no clue about how nature works. So their activity is out of tune with nature. In that way, if you look at it, the actions will be different. Not the point. Rebellious doesn't mean to say that people will become Maoists, or communists. Nothing of that kind. Or revolutionaries. In nature, there's nothing called as revolution. In nature, everything is evolution only. So no revolution in nature. Everything is evolution. Slow and steady wins the race. Then, then we'll continue from towards infinity from tomorrow. Any question? Ganesh, you want to ask something?
No.
Gopal Krishna, Sudha sister. We'll stop
I
early
just,
today. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to acknowledge the point you made, right? The people who actually, what I follow is the people who come across you are sent by the God Himself.
In a way,
There is
that's
a
true.
yeah.
In a way, it's only God coming in front of you in their form because of your longing. So,
Is
That
God
so happened actually. When we went last time to Kana, I want to meet our brother Bharat. Okay. We don't know where he is. I didn't add his number, anything. I was coming out of canteen. All of a sudden, his friend recognized me. Then I could recognize Bharat. So then we met him in the dormitory. It was very accidental. I never thought I will meet him so easily. So it was good experience.
Gopal Krishna was saying something.
it is God sending, it is God Himself coming for God Himself.
Correct.
From the oneness perspective, it is all for Him.
Once you have a longing in the heart, the vibrations from our heart touch the heart of the other person. So it appears they actually appear in front of us. It doesn't happen accidentally. It happens by choice. So once that longing is there in the heart, then automatically things manifest. For example, we were supposed to meet Master, no? Suddenly we thought of meeting Master. This time when we went to Karnap. And